Well, it's not often that I have a story to tell you about incest, rape, arson, necrophilia, Doc Green. The story of a transvestite vicar and his love for a one-legged Negro dwarf lesbian drug peddler. No, it's not often we have such a story, and tonight is no exception. And so instead we're going to do the usual old rubbish about the old lag who wants to go straight.
Position closed. It's not closed. Look, you can get your hands through it. Look.
It must be a trap.
A trap, yes.
A trap.
Well, they won't catch us with it, will they?
No.
Have you brought it with you?
I brought it. There you are.
Stop!
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 Stop! Stop! Stop!
Come on. Can I help you?
Oh, there is something there.
I can't see anything.
Well, perhaps it's a midget.
Yeah, or a tall man lying down.
Yeah.
It's neither. It is me at the next position.
What's the next position to a tall man lying down?
What about a tall man standing up?
Oh, you got one of those?
Yes, if you'd care to come over here.
Oh, we can't come over there. Not at our age.
Now, you climb over here, mate.
You climb over here.
Climb over here.
You've still got your teeth.
You've got your teeth.
You don't need your teeth for climbing.
Crocodiles do.
No, they don't.
Well, how do they get up in trees,
They
then?
drop down onto them.
Where from?
High trees.
This is ridiculous.
No, it's not. It says so in the Bible.
It says so in the Bible.
In the Bible.
What can I get you?
What have you got?
Yes, what you got?
Stamps, postal orders, TV licenses, premium bonds, you name it, we've got it.
All right, then 2 coffees.
With milk.
And sugar.
This is a post office. We don't serve coffee.
Oh. Tea, then.
Tea.
We don't serve tea either.
Well, what's that, then?
Yes.
What's that?
That is a large, brown, premium bond with a spout. Tea. But we don't serve it to customers. This is Her Majesty's Post Office.
Oh, are you looking after it for her?
Yeah. I bet we get a cup when she gets back. She's a real gent, she is. Yeah.
We do not serve tea.
Milk?
No.
Dandelion and burdock.
No.
Vodka martini?
Shake not stir.
No, no, no.
Oh, I know. Oh. Let's have a mango stinger.
Oh, yeah.
A mango stinger.
2 mango stingers, Luigi, and go easy on the creme de menthe.
I am not Luigi.
Well, tell Luigi to go easy on the creme de menthe, then.
Look, you senile pair of crackpots. This is a post office and you don't serve drinks in a post office.
Look. Don't give us any of your red tape.
Look. Why are rates to be poked in the air with pitchforks, young man?
This may come as a surprise to you, madam. I had no intention of poking you in the air with a pitchfork.
You lay one pitchfork on me, and he'll rip your nostrils apart with his bare knees.
With me bare knees.
He would too.
I wish Arthur Stokebridge was alive to see this.
Many's the time I've seen Arthur tango around on someone's giblets.
Yeah, he was a real gentleman, Arthur was.
Yes.
He wouldn't take no lip from any darkies.
He wouldn't?
And he'd split your eyeballs open before you could say good evening, Maestro, he would.
I am a civil servant, but I won't be much longer if you don't tell me what you want.
I was a gallant but unlucky loser in the 1923 Olympic long jump for the likes of you.
She was. She split her pants in front of the Duke of Windsor. Look. Are you not going to give us 2 light ales?
For the last time. This is a post office. Why don't you go to the Goat and Compasses public house across the road where they will serve you with anything you want?
We went up there, no good.
Why not?
They don't sell 5-penny stamps. Do you know something, Cynthia?
No, what?
I don't think that psychiatrist is getting us anywhere, do you?
Waste of money.
Tonight, Film Parade takes a look at the life and work of that stormy petrel of the early cinema, Fritz von Angst. Born in Oberammergau in 1892, von Angst first came to prominence in the early German expressionist cinema. In 1925, he made Der große Doppelgänger oder Gespiel und Geschäftlich, the never-to-be-forgotten epic in which he played a fear-crazed Silesian cat doctor who was in love with his grandmother, the film that Hollywood was later to remake as The Sound of Music. In 1934, the people of Munich first became aware of a little Austrian house painter, a man who was later to become Mr. Grossfarb of Grossfarb & Sons, Builders and Decorators, West Hampstead, Best Attention Assured, and whom I would personally like to recommend as they did my bathroom last week. Thank you, lads. But meanwhile, in Germany, Hitler had come to power. Von Angst kept out of politics as far as was possible for a Gestapo officer. He said, Nazi propaganda has no place in my work, and started on a series of film biographies. Beethoven, Christopher Columbus, Shakespeare. His co-star in all these films was, of course, Olga Krautz. Fräulein Krautz now lives in seclusion in a small apartment in Hamburg. Recently, she consented to give our reporter Ned Pules one of her rare interviews.
Hello, sweetie. You looking for a good time?
No.
Just as well.
Just a moment.
Yeah.
I believe you knew Fritz von Angst as a young girl.
No, I never knew him as a young girl. Most of the time, he wore men's clothes.
No, I mean, you appeared in most of his films.
Yeah, he did right, sugar.
What is your first memory of him?
Well, I tell you, sweetie, it was in the 20s, you know? I was summoned to see the great man in his office, you know? I remember it as if it was yesterday. He looked at me for a long while, and then in that typical way, he said to me, "So, you want to be a star? Take your clothes off, baby." Like to meet my sister?
No, thank you.
My brother?
In 1939, the Nazis attempted to involve von Angst in German war propaganda, but he resisted and made only 235 full-length feature films before escaping slowly to America. He arrived in New York in 1945 with only one reel of film, 17 old masters looted from Versailles and £2 million in gold bullion. The film was the famous Deutschland über alles, to which he subsequently added a new soundtrack and retitled it Cohen of the Panzer Grenadiers. America took von Angst to their hearts, not to mention the 2 million in bullion and the 17 old masters. Today, von Angst is an old man. Let's face it, he's dead. He will always be remembered for his work, and best of all for that classic of the German silent screen, Ich hüste die ganze Nacht, later, subsequently, retitled The 40,000 Hands of Dr. Schlachthammer, where, as a defeated old schoolmaster who is racked with the knowledge that a maniac surgeon, Dr. Schlachthammer, has grafted onto him the hands of a demented circus clown, returns to his mistress, the sadistic Ottilie, and there, in her Berlin apartment, acts out the final scene of the tragedy. Ich huste die ganze Nacht. Fritz von Angst. Actor, director. Was he a genius? Was he a madman? Perhaps both. Perhaps neither. Perhaps a bit of one, perhaps a little bit of the other. Which brings us to Raquel Welch, the subject of next week's film.
Paris. Mr. Grubčík, the Bratislavian cultural attaché.